Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Neveduck. I am going to go over some Druid information. Quick backstory, I started this expansion, Dragonflight, as a hunter, figuring it'd be nice and easy because I started a guild, started a raid team, and I wanted to be able to actually lead the raid, and the hunter is probably the easiest rotation out there. The issue I have is when our teams break up and we start to do mythic pluses, we always need a tank, we're always short a healer, and then we usually have enough DPS. So what I did was I basically leveled up my Druid, and now I've been playing my Druid. I could DPS and raid on my hunter and then mythic plus on my Druid, but I just don't have that much time. So what I decided to do is learn how to play balance. Figured in range it'd be a little bit easier, but balance is pretty complicated. So is feral, as far as how you DPS, what you got to keep track of, when you got to know to do your cooldowns, all your buttons, all that stuff. So it makes it a little bit tough to actually play it and shot call for me. Some people can do this stuff, I have no problems, but I guess it's old man brain and I can't just get my head around it and figure it out. So at first I did a bunch of weak ores. I chopped them up and tried to make it so it would just pop up a weak ore when I needed to press a button. I figured do all that work, figure it out, but I couldn't get it quite right to where I liked it. And trying to keep track of when I'm in solar, when I'm in lunar eclipse, to know which buttons are, which long casts I need to do, and then also which dots I need to refresh, all that stuff, when to pop my cooldowns. It wasn't quite clicking, and I didn't want to let my raid team down by having super low DPS because I was trying to watch timers for BBM and stuff like that to call things out to make sure our guild gets through these bosses. So what I decided to do, I started looking for a rotation helper. I came up with this one right here. I didn't make it, but it's called Hekili, Hekili, so Hekili. And what it does is it gives me these bars down here, and this is my rotation. So this tells me where to start and what to fire off at first. There's two ways I run this. I run this just basically the way it is out of the box. I run it on auto, and what that does is whether I'm in a single target fight or an AoE fight, it will show me what to press. And so it'll automatically give me the best rotation depending on how many enemies we're attacking. So I just kind of let that roll like that. The next thing is these toggles for cooldowns and potions. When I'm on a boss fight in a raid, I will toggle cooldowns and potions so they will show up right here. When I'm fighting trash or I'm fighting in Mythic Plus, because it kind of varies when you want to pop your cooldowns, I will uncheck them. So that way the only thing that comes down here is my base rotation. So let me show you my base rotation real quick on here. And remember, this will not give you the maximum min-max DPS that your class can possibly do. But what it will do is it will keep you competitive. It will keep track of where you're at in your rotation. So if you have to handle a mechanic, if you have to look up, if you have to watch bars for cooldowns and DBM, anything like that, it frees up a little bit of your mind to actually be able to call things out and not be way off on DPS. If you lose track of where you're at, you can just look right down, it'll pick right up where you need to go, and it's constantly adjusting depending on what you need to press and where you are at with your eclipses and all that stuff. So any high-end DPS that you're learning as far as how complicated they are, the rotation, this add-on's great. It'll get you started, it'll keep you competitive. It will not put you at the top of the top, but it will keep you from being embarrassed, I guess is the easiest way to put it. So there's that. So let me show it to you with these other toggles on. So these will bring my cooldowns and my potions in there. And what that'll do is it'll tell me when to press my cooldowns, and it'll just keep going with my rotation. It'll predict when you press your cooldowns. It instantly pops you into the rotation that you need. So if it was single target, I'd probably be spamming Wrath right now instead of my AoE one, because I hit my incarnation, which basically allows me to go into I think it's lunar, which gives me more DPS for AoE or more power for Wrath if I'm in solar. So it's pretty easy add-on. It'll help you stay competitive. Again, it is not going to max the charts. It is kind of a crutch. But if you need that help in order to do the mechanics in a Mythic Plus, and stay competitive, if you need that help in order to call shots in raids, it is definitely worth it. It kind of takes the place of my weak ores. One thing I do keep checked, just as a side note, is this interrupts button, because interrupts are very key in Mythic Plus and in Raid. So keep that checked, so if you have an opportunity to interrupt something, you can. So when I'm in Mythic Plus, if the cooldowns don't show up here, I have just an action bar that I pulled out here so I can actually see my cooldowns and know when they're off cooldown in order to use them on big pulls in Mythic Plus. If you keep the cooldown on and the potions on and down here, your first 2 slots are going to be stuck on that, and you're not going to be able to predict what's past here. And then the other annoying part with balance is Incarnation instantly pops, so you can either use solar or lunar eclipse, because you get both from it. And what happens is if your Incarnation is showing up here, it's predicting what you should press after Incarnation, which might not always be an ability you have available depending on Astral Power. So it'll kind of throw off your rotation if you have that in there. So it's best to kind of not use that in those situations. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thanks for stopping by.